Alright, guys. This video, we're going to be doing a reaction to my own appearance in the YouTuber, the Amazing Lucas, YouTuber on his channel when he had a stream titled Disagreement Day 2 Birthright Citizenship, Reparations, Sermons Order. Right? Basically, I want to call in, because, call in if you dare, to disagree, tell him that all black people don't deserve reparations. Only the ones that were slaves to Native Americans. And you're going to see that I said a lot of good facts, which is the main thing. Black people were never slaves. White slavery, the evidence of white slavery, and the rich black communities that make up the areas of like the East and South that were former slave owners or colonizers. And you're going to see the struggle that I had when talking about it, because I did struggle. You'll be able to see, and I'll be able to show some receipts. But I just want to show y'all that that he could not prove to me black people being slaves, but I could prove him that white people were slaves. And you're gonna be able to see the comments of what these people were talking about, of what I was saying. So, let's go.
Black people say that they are descendants of slaves to Europeans, but they never prove it on
Hold
paper or through.
Let me go ahead and do fair use right quick.
Fair use.
And if you can speed up the video to, I'm gonna try to speed up a little bit. Just a little bit. Here we go.
Or through ancestors.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that there's some who probably have proof, and I'm sure there's some who don't have proof. But I don't know as far as what the percentage of that is.
I would say only 5 to 10% have proof.
Where are you? So I would ask, okay, 5 to 10%.
Okay.
Where are you basing? What are you basing this off of?
Okay, so I'm based it off of when you do your research on ancestry.com, not ancestry.com, but Ancestry's YouTube channel. My heritage, when the celebrities and
How
other
can
people
you
go
base
up.
black people and how many black people have proof of their ancestry off of your ancestry?
No, not my ancestry. I'm saying, how people post their ancestry online, like in forums and on YouTube videos. That's how I'm basing it off. Based off the research, there's really no evidence of black people finding ancestry to a slave owner. The only evidence that you can find.
So you
is
believe
black
that
people,
there's no
yeah.
black person who has evidence that they have ancestry that ties them to a slave owner?
I was gonna respond to that, but as far as to a white slave owner, no.
And you know this is a fact?
It is a fact.
Of course, you're gonna do ad.
Research
Okay.
paper, the peer review that states that this is a fact?
Yes. So there's a thing called Free Negro 1830 Slave Census, where it states all the free Negro slave owners in 1830 census, and it was published by University of Illinois. It's a university in Illinois. I forgot which college it was, but you can search it up on Google right now. 1830 Free Negro Census, and it shows all the slave owners that were classified as free Negro in the 1830 census, and it names all
it
the names.
records 3,000 people.
You're talking about that PDF, right?
The census, the 1830 census.
We're talking about the same census, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes. I'm talking about that one. I'm saying that
You don't think 3,000 people is kind of low?
it could be more. It's just that's the only.
And that's where he's challenging my my thoughts. And man, oh man, I knew I wasn't prepared for this, but I remember. And also when they say that there's only 3,000, you have to also remember these people were rich. Slave owners were rich, man. They were rich. And you look at today, most of the rich is a small percentage of people. It's not going to be everybody. So even if he brings up 3,000, oh, that's small. those are rich, very rich, wealthy people. So let's get back to the beer.
Yeah, evidence we have right now, as far as it classifying it as black people on the slaves.
So you don't think other black people may have as far as paperwork that proves as far as their lineage is connected with slavery?
Yes, but it's not through a white slave owner, it's through a Native American slave owner.
So you believe all the paperwork that black people have is connected to a Native American slave owner?
No, I'm saying that most black people, their ancestry is connected to a person who came to America. I'm not sure if it was from location, but most black people have ancestry that has ancestors that immigrated to America. But as far as the ones that were owned by another slave owner, the ones that have evidence typically have to have a Cherokee or Choctaw or 5 civilized tribes freedmen role. But any other.
So you're under the belief that that black people, the majority of them were already here with the Indians?
Yes, we're part of the colonization of America. Yes.
Gotcha. So then, wouldn't you be entitled? This is an argument I still say. Wouldn't you then be entitled to the Native American reparations?
Native Americans already got paid reparations.
I know. So
right.
That would be your reparations. You would have to go into the tribe and see if you can, get your citizenship.
Oh, yeah. So the black
investment taxes,
they're going to their ad, guys.
Complex, and they're always evolving. No matter what you're
owned by Native Americans and freed in 1866, they would have to get back reparations from the Native American tribe that they were owned by.
Got you. So you're saying because majority, or you're saying the only proof that exists regarding slavery links them to a Native American, not to a white slave owner. So then,
yeah,
you
a
can't.
White slave owner doesn't exist.
So then the argument for reparations wouldn't be with the United States; it would then be with the tribes.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
The 5 civilized tribes did exactly. So there's no evidence of the other tribes that weren't part of the 5 civilized that owned black slaves.
Okay. I haven't heard that one before. That's an interesting take.
I don't believe that's true. I think he knows. I think most people know. They just throw it under the bus. But if you don't, you know now.
Right, and the reason I came to your stream is because I hear this all the time. A lot of black people keep demanding reparations, but the problem is, if America was to give out reparations, a lot of whites would have to receive it too, because a lot of whites
Why would a lot of whites have to receive it too?
Because many whites were slaves of America to the Europeans. Yeah.
There were many whites who were slaves during the time of chattel slavery here in the United States?
Yes, to Europeans.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I brought up the free Negro slave owner census, because the truth is those European slave owners were actually black people.
Were they actual slaves or were they indentured servants?
They were actual slaves.
Gotcha.
So you ever heard of the book White Cargo?
No, I haven't. The only slavery I'm aware of is the Barbary slave trade.
Right. The
But
Barbary slave
that was
trade.
in the United States, though.
No, the transatlantic slave trade, when the African Barbary pirates sent Africans to the Americas, to Europeans, those slaves were not classified as Negro, but they weren't classified by race. They were classified by their place they came from. So they didn't say Negro slave, they said African slaves. So because of the movies and propaganda, we think that every single slave that came over here were Negro or so-called black person. But when you actually read the books of white historians looking at
investment taxes,
Yep.
including crypto, can be
Just
complex,
make another ad
and
to
they're
keep
always
from the truth.
No matter what your portfolio.
Africans coming over from this slavery, they find out that it's actually the opposite. It's actually white Africans coming over from Africa as slaves to Europeans in the United States of America.
So you're telling me that the majority of those in the transatlantic slave trade were white?
Yes, the majority African slaves that came on the plantations of the United States of America, specifically the 13 colonies and the South, to Europeans, were white African slaves. But the ones that were Negro were sent to Native Americans. And I give you one evidence that there's a celebrity named Don Cheadle. I think you know who that is. He did his ancestry, and he found out through a freedman roll that his ancestor was owned by the Choctaw or Cherokee Nation.
Well, the problem that I've noticed
Yes.
in many cases,
Yes.
especially when it comes to white people talking about barbary slave trade and everything, is that it wasn't the same context or framing as for black African slaves, right? Chattel slaves. White people were never chattel slavers. They were indentured servants. But it seems that many white people, especially in the book that you referenced, seem to interchange that terminology.
Well, what was
Kind of like how the Irish say that they were
Okay.
slaves and they weren't actually slaves.
Yes, and I was going to respond to that. So, the reason that a lot of people classify those white people as they classify white people or white slaves as indentured servants is because, like you said, we learned that a lot of Irish and Germans, Scottish came to America as indentured servants, and because we think that because now I might not be able to prove this part because we
So he wanted to bring up this I don't know how to explain it, but he was trying to say that the white slaves are classified as indentured servants. But what we learned in school, guys, they said that there were Irish, Scottish, and British immigrants that came to America as indentured servants. They didn't say what race. They just said British, Irish, right? But they show pictures of white people because we believe in the evolutionary theory today, which he was going to bring up next. But we believe in evolutionary theory, and that's how people believe whites come from Europe and blacks come from Africa. That's why people think the indentured servants were white. But what you have to understand is there's a lot of black people that take DNA tests that find Irish, German, Scottish, Dane in their ancestry. And they're like, hold up, I got white in me? No, that doesn't mean you have white in you. It means that you have ancestors that walked and had bones found in those countries. So, and then you have Benjamin Franklin's quote where he said Europeans were swarthy, right? Dark skin. But people don't want to talk about this stuff. They want to talk about, fairy tales and movies instead of the truth. Let's get back to the point.
Well, there's no proof of white people actually being chattel slaves. There's evidence of them being indentured servants.
No, so what I'm saying is, right, because we think of Irish and German, we think that it's classified as a specific phenotype or race. But so what I'm saying is those German and Irish indentured servants that we learned in school weren't actually, a race. They were their own people. But because we classify them as white today, we think that those Irish and German and Scottish indentured servants were white people. But they could be of anyone, if that makes sense. So,
Need a UGC video for your business? Find me and many other skilled creators on Fiverr. Or you could.
Right, because like I said, Ireland has many different, phenotypes from the past 400 to 500 years. At one point, they were calling them Black Irish. Another point, they were calling them, swarthy. Now they're calling them white. So, like, you can't classify Irish. Like, that's why Irish is not classified as a race, classified as a nationality, right? Germany, nationality, because there's many different ethnic groups that inhabited those areas from the past 400 to 500 years, right? So it's just because we go by the evolutionary theory today and people are lying in our school systems, they're gonna call these people white when it's not really based off of a color. It's based off of your ancestry, your blood, what your ancestor came from. And the people, and Cool himself, they're trying to use the white indentured servant ideology to try to cancel out white slavery, but you can't do that because there's books on it. And you have black people with Irish, British, Scottish, German, French last names. You have millions of black people. I wish I was able to say, I should have said this, but you have millions of black people that can speak French. Over 300 million black people worldwide can speak French. Over 300 million black people can speak Portuguese. So I should have brought that point up, but it's too late now. But yeah.
Indentured servants from Ireland or Scotland or what is it?
Well,
Germany.
that's the only reference
Yeah.
that they had. Even in the book that you're talking about, White Cargo, because I've heard of this book before, they conflate the two. There were never chattel slaves that were white or European. Now, could there have been, as far as, anecdotal incidents of, enslaved white people or indentured servants who were treated poorly or harshly? Yes. But as far as the systemic or the system of chattel slavery here in the country and how it was racialized, that never occurred to Europeans. It didn't even occur to Native Americans.
You see how he's trying to switch it. He's calling the Europeans white. So the people who write the books today, they're gonna say that the Europeans, the original Europeans were white, because they rule the books. They control it. They're making the books. But the people, when you actually go read the old books, the 1800, 1700, right? They're gonna say that they were swarthy, had unruly hair, tawny skin. They're not gonna say pale. They're gonna say swarthy, tawny, which means dark skin or of Negro origin.
Right, but you keep saying European. You keep saying European and
What
white.
would they be?
And I'm saying that just because someone is white doesn't mean that they're European. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Today,
What would they be? I don't understand.
So today, in 2026, we call Europeans white, we call Africans black. During that time, they didn't call them.
And this is where I messed up. I should have brought up the Benjamin Franklin quote. Should have brought that up, but I don't know if that could have been irrelevant. But let's get back to it.
They didn't call Europeans white. They didn't call Africans
So are you
black.
saying there were white Africans, like Afrikaners, in what we know as Africa?
Yes, correct.
Where did they come from?
They came from South Africa, West Africa.
No, where did they come from Africa, right? Because they didn't originate in Africa, right? They must be migrants. Or are you saying that they're natives to South Africa? Or Africa in general?
Both South Africa and Africa in general.
So,
Yes.
got you. Where's the I guess the pale skin come from?
So the pale skin, that's a genetic mutation.
So they're mutants?
No, I'm not saying they're mutants. I'm saying that's classified
And this where he's trying to be funny. Now, he's trying to be funny now, trying to bring this into a racial thing, trying to make it seem like but that's just why I kept telling him I'm not talking about nobody. I'm trying to focus on the slavery. But then we had a little topic. I'm gonna play it though, but he kept trying to go into this race stuff. Not race like as far as the topic, but like DNA, and it kind of made me look bad because I went from talking about slavery to this stuff, and I was trying to get back, but next time, I'm just say I don't want to talk about it. Let's get back to the slavery part, cause it gets off topic, and if I don't say stuff that's I guess good to the audience, it's gonna make me look like a clown, right? So this part is gonna make me look like a clown, but a lot of stuff I was saying, if was true. It's just it was kind of irrelevant to what I was talking about. But I might skip through it.
So they would be mutants, right?
Not in a derogatory way, but they would.
Well, it would be a derogatory way, given that the majority of this country, or the majority of the world, has melanin. So someone
he's bringing up the melanin and stuff like that, but that's why I was making sure I was sound like I was attacking him when I'm just. But let's go ahead and go.
lacking melanin, that would be considered a deficiency, right? A mutation. A mutation, from my understanding, is never considered in medicine a positive.
Investment taxes, including crypto, can be complex, and they're always evolving. No matter what your
Hell is. I'm not trying to attack or
Well, it's an abnormality. That's what it would be considered.
Well, but I'm not saying that them being pale is. I'm not trying to attack or
Well, it's an
I'm just
abnormality.
saying-
That's what it would be considered.
Well, but you were telling me how did they lose pigmentation? I think you're bringing that up because
Well, I'm
you
just,
assume
no, I'm
that-
just asking because from my understanding,
Okay.
I thought they originated from
Right.
Caucasoid mountains and whatnot. But you're saying that they originated in Africa and they just had
Yes, the Europeans, they're not from Europe. That's what he's trying to say. They're from Europe because he believes in the evolutionary theory. So, Benjamin Franklin said in his 1751 essay, Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, right? Benjamin Franklin used the term swarthy to describe most Europeans. Swarthy means dark skin. Arguing that only English and Saxons were purely white. He expressed the native concerns regarding German immigrants in Pennsylvania, right? And he said in the quote, and in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally what we call a swarthy complexion, as the Germans also. The Saxons, and except who, with the English, make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth, right? So he's saying the Europeans were swarthy. Most of Europe was swarthy, dark skin.
had a mutation, a genetic mutation that caused them to come out pale.
No, the gene they have is a genetic mutation, but in order to get
Where did
that
that
color,
mutation originate from?
it originated from other genes. I didn't really want to get into that, but yeah,
What
but,
genes? Where do they come from?
yeah,
See, he's trying to make me look stupid with DNA, but it doesn't regard. There's nothing you can do to get away from they were white and they were slaves. The untold history of enslavement of whites in early America. You can't get away from that. White cargo. Where's white cargo? White cargo. You cannot get away with it. Doesn't matter if they evolve from if they evolve from the water, the ocean. You can't get away from these books. And that's what he was trying to do. Let's go. I might skip.
Or is this kind of like evolution, like, oh, it's just a big bang and it just happened? Like one day a person was just born white? Two black people had a white baby?
Oh no, not that. It's based off who your ancestor mixed with. And,
Right. That's what I was saying. It's based off who your ancestors mixed with. You do not control of how you come into this look. You do not control of how you look coming into this world. You don't control that. That's why I said it's based off who your ancestors mixed with. But go ahead.
And
so in
as
order
far
for
as
them to mix, right? Everyone at that time would be dark skinned in Africa, so they would have to mix with another dark.
And that's where he got me right. Not got me, but like he confused me right there because he's trying to make me look stupid. So, and this is where I should have brought up. Go to my channel. I should have brought up. Well, since you want to talk like that, the Africans were the invaders of America. I should have brought that up. I have a video. Where are the French today? 330 million blacks speak French. When we do the statistics, 216 million blacks speak Portuguese. Worldwide, I didn't do English, but I'm pretty sure it's over a bunch, 500 million, close to 1 billion blacks that speak English. So I should have said that, but I'm kind of speaking in like a professional code because remember, anything he doesn't like, he can hang up the call immediately and cut me out. So my goal was to bring up that whites were slaves and blacks were the slave owners. That was my big goal. So that's why I couldn't bring up all this other stuff to debunk what he was saying, because I was speaking in like a professional thing, so I wouldn't have to get kicked. Because my message to this chat of the 200 people watching, there is a white slavery, black slave owners, which I proved through his stream. So,
skin and then have a mutant baby.
see, he's trying to.
Let's go. You go spin this.
I messed up.
Slaves, right? Chattel slaves. White people were never chattel slavers.
Oh, I'm gonna go back to
I
it.
brought up the free Negro slave owner census because
Or already here.
I gotta find it again, y'all.
we're part of the colonization of America. Yes.
Gotcha. So then, wouldn't you be entitled? This is argument equal Native American, not to a white slave owner. So not
Tribes that weren't part of the five civilized that they were actual slaves, fought as Africa as slaves to Europeans, 30 in colonies, and the ones that were. And I give you one evidence that there's a celebrity named Don Cheadle. Now I might not be able to prove this part because we think of Irish and German, which are servants from Ireland or
here in the country, how
it's called Europeans white.
Well, or Africa in general. The pale skin come from. Who is lacking melanin, that would be considered a deficiency, right?
Derogatory way, but they would.
Well, it would be a derogatory way. If it's lacking melanin, that would be considered in medicine a positive.
Being pale is, I'm not trying to attack or,
Well, it's an abnormality. That's what it would be.
I think you're bringing that up because.
Well, I'm just asking, because from my understanding, I thought they originated from, Caucasoid mountains and whatnot. But you're saying that they originated in Africa, and they just had, a mutation, a genetic mutation that caused them to come out pale.
No, the gene they have is a.
And y'all, they do not come from Africa. They are of Japheth. They come from Japan. And pretty much Asia. They come from Asia. They come from the Majapahit Empire. That's where Japheth comes from. If you want to learn how they got in Africa, go watch YouTuber Lex Will. I'm still trying to get the foundations to explain of how they got into Africa. So, but they did go in Africa, the Japhethites, which are white people. And, before I explain that, I have to make sure I know it down point before I say that they came from the Majapahit Empire and ended up in Africa in the modern day, which then became slaves to America. But yeah, let's get back to the video.
Is a genetic mutation, but in order to
where did that mutation originate from?
It originated from other genes. I didn't really want to get into that, but
what genes? Where do they come from?
Yeah.
Or is this kind of like evolution, like just a big bang and it just happened? Like one day a person was just born white. Two black people had a white baby.
Oh no, not that. It's based off who your ancestor mixed with.
See, I didn't want to get into that, but that's why I kept saying who your ancestor was and genes. That's it. I didn't want to say. Because it's trying to make me look stupid and trying to make me seem like I'm one of those Pan-African people, and that's not what it is. That's why I kept saying it's who your ancestor is and your genes. That's it. So, and I did bring up SCC 245 because that's a scientific fact. Because I like telling people that's where the white skin gene come from. Then I also brought up leprosy, but let's keep going.
In order for them to mix, right? Everyone at that time would be dark skinned in Africa. So they would have to mix with another dark skin and then have a mutant baby.
So, yes, but, you ever heard of leprosy, right?
Yeah, I've heard of leprosy.
Yes, so, there were ancient tribes in the world that experienced leprosy, and a lot of...
And guys, I didn't bring up the Bible because... I would have got kicked. I promise you, he would have hung up that phone. And the whole point of me be on that phone, because I told you I believe in the Bible. I'm just trying to explain why whites were the slaves and blacks were slave owners. Next time I will bring it up, but I'm saying when you come into these debates, right, they will kick you out if you bring up the Bible all too much. And it sucks, but that's what they'll do. That's why it was kind of hard to explain, But I think he wouldn't mind. I think he wouldn't have mind me bring up the Bible, but that's why I should have brought it up. But it's just I don't think he believes in that white people were Japheth and I don't think he believes in that stuff. So. It's the truth, so let's go.
Pale and lighter skinned races have ancestors that experienced leprosy in the past. And
are you saying the paleness comes from a mutation that was passed down from leprosy?
It could be two ways. It could be through leprosy or mixing with an ancestor that contained the so leprosy.
Wouldn't that make them a cursed group of people?
And I'm not sure if SLC 2485 gene deals with leprosy. I'm, I gotta, make sure I do my research properly when explaining that. That's why I kept trying to get away from this, but it's gonna come up. So, but yeah, let's keep listening.
Well, that's all I was trying to say. So, leprosy will refer to the Bible, right? But science, it will be classified as a mixing with a human that has SOC245 gene. You ever heard of the SOC245 gene?
No, I haven't. Where did that gene come from?
It came from a humanoid ancestor.
A non-humanoid ancestor?
Yes. So basically, it comes from a zebrafish. But so they say that Africans are humans mixed with other humans that contain the gene, and they're saying that the gene comes from zebrafish, right? So if a Homo sapien mixed with a human that had zebrafish DNA, that means that human is a non-humanoid. A lot of people might like it, but that's true, right? So yes, humans or people of man mixed with other non-people of man or non-humans that had zebrafish DNA, which caused it to become into their gene pool. But I didn't want to associate it with leprosy because I don't think it was the same thing. That makes sense. Let's go ahead. It could be though.
Yeah, so like it's classified as a gene from zebrafish.
Need a UGC video for your business?
See, I had.
Find me and many other skilled creators on
I just
Fiverr.
realized he made
Or
a lot
you
of money
could
off me.
grab a
Let's
top.
go.
A Homo sapien mixed with a Homo sapien mixed with another humanoid that contained SOC245 and within the gene pool.
How did they get into the gene pool? I don't understand. How did they get a zebrafish?
Because they mixed with another person that had the DNA, and then they made a child, right? Made a child. That's how it got in the DNA. They had sex with the person and made a child. That's how it got into the gene pool. And then that offspring kept mixing. That's how it got in through mixing. Your ancestors.
Fish gene as a Homo sapien.
So remember they said that sub-Saharan Africans or Homo sapiens mixed with Neanderthals and Deinovision people. That's what happened. And when you keep mixing from generations and
I'm gonna
generations,
skip this part.
But that's just part of the
Mutation. That's what you're saying. That this would be a.
It would. Humans started out as one type. First man, first woman.
So essentially, everyone who is
fairly
wise would be considered.
And I want to play this part, but
started out
if you want
one type.
if you want to skip, y'all can skip because we're really it's a different focus on this video. But go ahead.
First man, first woman.
So essentially, everyone who is non-melanated would be considered a part of that cursed race.
No, not necessarily.
Why is that?
Oh wait,
Because
we can go back.
Races of people on the planet.
groups of racist people on the planet.
How are there a lot of cursed groups of
Uh,
It would
I
make
mean,
them a cursed group
yeah,
of people. That's what you're saying. It wouldn't be an evolution. That'd be
White people.
wouldn't it be an evolution? Kinda? Because it's a mutation. That makes it an abnormality. It would make them a cursed group of people. That's what you're saying. That this would be a cursed race of people.
I mean, if you classify it, yes, it would, but it's a lot of cursed groups of racist people on the planet.
How are there a lot of cursed groups of racist people on the planet?
Because humans started out as one type. First man, first woman.
So essentially, everyone who is non-melanated would be considered a part of that cursed race.
No, not necessarily.
Why is that?
Because
And this is where I wanted to bring up Adam, Jacob, and Esau being black, and Jacob being smooth skinned, Esau being hairy. So I wanted to bring it up, but like I told y'all, I was afraid I was gonna get end the call, hanged up, because when you bring up the truth of them, they'll hang you up. Conversation over. So I had to bring a little bits and pieces in. And rely on science and stuff like that. But I was trying to get away from topic. Let's get back.
for humans, it's bigger concept story, but like
and
humans.
that's why I'm stuttering and struggling to say what I'm saying, because I know what I want to say, but I can't. I'm afraid to say it because I'm gonna get hung up. They don't like listening to the Bible. They like hearing about Jesus and specific story, but they don't like hearing the truth on the true knowledge of the Bible. Let's go ahead.
Humans start off with a smooth skin, taller,
And you see how I was bringing bits and pieces in, like smooth skin, referring to Jacob, right? Jacob, Adam being tall. But go ahead.
symmetrical faces, etc. Right? I'm not trying to sound like one of those look smashers.
And the reason I said only the smooth skin, because if I would have brought out Harry, he would have thought I was talking about Jacob and Esau, and I brought out, and hung up. And then I brought look smackers, so so he would think that I'm not talking about Jacob and Esau, but I really was. But then I brought up that to make it seem like I was not trying to seem like that, but I was actually trying to talk about Jacob and Esau. Let's go back.
I'm just talking about
I got your physiology and all that.
Humans started off more perfect, and when we, ended up, biblically not following the Most High, right? It ended up corrupting our, genes and causing us to, what's the word? Degenerate or mutate. But according to the Bible, there's a certain group of people.
Investment taxes, including crypto, can be complex.
And that's where
they're always
came.
evolving. No matter what your
No. Oh shit! I thought I messed up.
Israelites and stuff like that, or mutate. But according to the Bible, there's a certain group of people. I don't know if you believe in that. That descend from so-called, Israelites and stuff like that.
And look now I ruined the entire conversation because I went from white people being slaves, black people slave owners, to the Bible and Israelites, stuff like that, and I had to bring that up. I mean, he wanted to hear about it. That's why I said this stuff, but I was trying to focus on the topic. But because when you talk about Israelites, they're gonna think that you're one of those IUIC, IUSPK dudes. But I was just saying that humans, there are perfect, humans in the image today, small percentage that, that are living, which would be descendants of Israelites. But I should never brought that up. But it kind of led to him ask these questions led to that. But let's get back to the point.
Supposedly the perfect so-called human DNA, and then scientifically, it's only a small percent. Most people.
And we're gonna skip
today's DNA background.
Well, I like it because that's good with the slavery, right?
That has nothing to do.
To them being here in the country, even though like I said, I'm unaware. Because the whole premise was that what we actually think of the slaves is actually they're not black, they were actually white.
Yes.
Yes, they were white. Yes.
Yeah. I just haven't come across any information that's
right. And I gave you a book, and it's called White Cargo.
I'm aware of White Cargo. That book is heavily criticized due to the fact that it.
Okay, if it's heavily criticized, where's the evidence of black people finding their roles or their white slave owner? No evidence. Let's go.
It supplants slavery, a slave for indentured servant.
Okay, we got they were white and they were slaves until history of the enslavement of white.
Yeah, that's the barbarous slave trade. I'm aware of that book.
Right. I'm just giving you.
But even still, they weren't slaves,
yes.
right? They weren't slaves in the same capacity as black people here in the States.
Okay, so
it certainly wasn't racialized.
Right.
So these white books.
So you look at a lot of statistics in America, right? The poor areas, and I'm mainly talking about high populated areas like California, Georgia, Florida, New York. Typically, the poor rural areas are mostly of people of white descent or white race, right? And if
The
you
poor
descend
rural
from
areas? Where can you give me an example?
right, so if
In
you
California?
yeah, so like California, I'm specifically talking about the highest populated states in the United States, like California, New York, Georgia, Florida. Those areas, the rural areas, or it doesn't really.
Need a UGC video for your business? Find me and many other skilled creators on Fiverr. Or you.
It's typically, it doesn't really have to be the rural areas, the poorest areas of California and Georgia. It's typically going to be whites in that area.
The poorest areas in Georgia, predominantly black state, you're telling me it is white people.
Yes.
Is
In
this
California
per
and Florida,
capita? Are we taking it to population?
both.
Both. You mean per capita? The poorest areas are white in Georgia and in California.
Pretty much
Yes.
all of America, yes.
All of America now.
Yes, most black people don't live in those areas. Most black people live in the city and the suburban areas. When you go out to North Georgia, you don't have to say no. You're gonna see. So I live in Georgia. You're gonna see mostly white people in those areas. In the trailer parks, mostly white, right? And I'm pretty sure it applies in California, Florida, Texas, right? And he's trying to say that that's not true, but it is. Let's go.
Now, this is the first time hearing this because maybe the data I have is outdated. The last time I saw it. Where are you getting your data from?
And then he's gonna clown me for bringing up Google, but we all use Google. And then he's gonna clown me for using YouTube and TikTok and all that. But like I said, the only way to find evidence is to go on TikTok and YouTube. I mean the platforms that most people use this. See, we go to TikTok, right? Let's go to TikTok and make this quick. Oh man, I don't wanna. I'm just trying to. Okay. Poor areas in Georgia. Videos. Okay, all right, okay. Which one should I use? But when you look at the users, you see mostly whites, right? When you do poor Florida, it's gonna show you mostly whites. When you do poor New York, show mostly whites and the poor. Nah, I should be going, but I don't want to log in. I don't have TikTok on my computer, but I mean on my So, but if you go look it up, it's gonna show it. It's gonna show it. So we can skip this part. But
CDC,
that's all right now.
any government website?
Whites are in those areas.
So Google is not a source, right?
On Google areas in Georgia, it's going to state whites are in those areas.
So Google is not a source, right? Google shows you other sources. And
Okay.
I don't know what your Google may be on something else, but my Google says,
Right.
based on the recent data, the poorest areas in Georgia are disproportionately populated by black or African residents.
Okay, let me type it right quick.
All right, of course, it's gonna say that. But we all, if you live in Georgia, you know that most black people live in the city and suburban areas, which costs a lot of money. So, and usually the poor people live in trailer parks, which are found in the rural areas, right? So when you type it like this, right, it's gonna say that. But when you type what races are in the rural areas the most, it's gonna say white, which is the lowest populated areas where the poor people live. Because in order to make money, you gotta go live in what? Black Mecca, Atlanta, right? Macon, you got Savannah. You gotta live in the city or suburb. You're not gonna make money in the country. But let's go.
Well, actually, I'm on your show, so I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna hold up time like that. But also through my own research, I was just getting
Okay, so
everyday
just
struggle
skip.
in the. But that's not.
Always evolve. No matter what
So,
your portfolio looks
skip.
like, H&R Block.
More anecdotal.
Okay, but and also the other point.
But basically, he did not. He was annoyed about my source, and I'm saying that that the poorest areas of each state is all mostly white people. He's saying that's wrong. So but if you look up like what race is in the rural areas of Georgia mostly, predominantly white, right? Where do most of the rich people live in Georgia? Northern Atlanta suburbs, Coney, Fulton counties, right? Buckhead, Milton. These are all black places. Milton High School, majority black, right? Now the internet might say white, but you know, what race lives in Milton the most? Okay, of course it's gonna say majority white, but you know, uh, the Black Mecca of Georgia, Atlanta, right? So, if Atlanta is one of the most highest populated areas in Georgia, right? Highest populated city in Georgia, Atlanta, the Black Mecca, right? So if Georgia is the highest populated city, my bad, if Atlanta's the highest populated city in Georgia, exceeding 500,000 residents, right? And is nicknamed the Black Mecca. That means most of Atlanta is black or Negro. Right? Rural areas are predominantly white. And the reason for that is because it's because there's black people here or outside of this area. And they don't want to help these people. They want to rule over these people. That's why. Okay? I'll give you another example. What races in the rural areas of Tennessee? Predominantly non-Hispanic white. You type, where do most rich people live? Well, do wealthy people live in Tennessee? Okay. Nashville, right? I don't know why Memphis not in there, but oh, there it is. Memphis suburbs, right? Germantown. We're gonna put Memphis. Oh shit. Okay. Orange Mountain, established in Farmers Plantation, right? So we'll do Chicago. Wealthy black Chicago. Okay, I don't know how to explain this, but just type it like this. Highest populated city in Illinois. Chicago. What races in rural areas in Illinois? Predominantly white. Now, let's say, what race is mostly in Illinois? No, that's stupid. What race is mostly in Chicago? Of course, they're gonna say white, non-Hispanic. Right? Now let's say, what race lives in the city of Chicago? Now it's getting closer. Now it's blacks at 28 and whites at 33. Now it's becoming close of the, at first the percentage was mostly towards white. Now it's become more black. So you see how where the white supremacy is through the Google. They're gonna be the poor and they're gonna be the majority. That don't make no damn sense. So let's get back to the video.
Most black people live in suburban areas, specifically in the South, the East, right? And if you're a descendant of a slave, you're going to be struggling financially today, and have like a 400-year back start. So you should be poor today, or struggling today. And I'm saying a lot of black people today are not struggling. A lot of black people live in suburban communities like Atlanta.
Correct. Like I said, all you gotta do is type wealthy black neighborhoods. Right? Go to video. Inside America's.
Auto insurance all seems the same until it's time to use it. With USAA, it's easy to file a claim.
What's the most amount of money
that included getting out of
right
300.
inside America's richest black neighborhoods? Right? Then you go back inside city of black millionaires, where the wealthiest black Americans. You can find this shit, bro. This is not a lie. But he wants it to show. He wants to. What everything doesn't have to be a Harvard, scientific research. It doesn't have to be. It's literally we see it every day when we go outside to work, to the store, all that stuff. So
Atlanta, out metro or outside parts of Atlanta, Macon, Georgia, Los Angeles, New York City, Raleigh, North Carolina. And yes, there are some poor black areas too. But that's why I was bringing up earlier. There were black people owned by Native Americans.
So that kind of fits in with the whole white people being slaves, due to the fact that they make up the majority of the poverty, and black people are doing fairly well in suburban areas. Kind of a systemic problem.
It's not kind of. It is. It's the truth. You just admit the truth. White people were in the poor areas. I mean, we're the slaves. That's why they're in the poor areas today, and black people were not. That's why, we're in the suburbs, in the city, and in the most these high populated areas today, and
Right. So, and this might sound, very, coonish, but I have to say it, but a lot of.
And the reason I said coonish is because I'm trying to just say a reality, right? Because now I know some of the people in this stream probably thought I was white, but because the way I talk, and I'm but I'm a black person saying the truth. It's the truth, and it hurts. I got told that I was ugly before. I got told I was fat. I got told, that I was not tall by women. That I, was lame. squarehead, all this stuff, and that's the truth. Well, truth to some people's eyes. So if black people can attack me for looking a certain way, then I could tell the truth about what history and reality is. Let's get back to the point.
Issues in the so-called black diaspora in the United States.
And then he started joking, bringing up suicide and all this stuff. Oh, he thinking I'm suicidal. Like let's go back.
A lot of issues is caused by a lot of black people too.
Yep.
Because there were black people that owned other black people on plantations too, but not as slaves, more like indentured servants. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You had black people work for other black people, and it kind of applies today. Black people want say they support the black community, they support black businesses, they support black unity, but don't put a lot of.
Oh, I'm tired of this shit, bro. Making money off my,
Right. Say they support the black community, they support black businesses, they support black unity, but don't put a lot of, money. And I'm not speaking for all black people, but I live in a black community.
The reason I'm saying all black people is because there are black people that support, businesses that are owned by black people that actually donate to black people that are homeless and actually help. But what I'm trying to tell him is that there is an oppression of black people to black people. Black people are not walking around as a unified group. We think we are, but we're not. We are trying to survive individually and help our families. We're not trying to. This is not no one world utopia, and we're all just, working for money, and we're all sharing, trying to build each other's wealth up. No, you have to go build that up on your own. That's how we think. Because a lot of us don't have the same origin. A lot of us didn't come from slavery. A lot of us didn't come from indentured servitude. A lot of us came from immigration, colonization. Slave owner lineage, right? We all don't have the same history. That's why there's no unified black community. Right? There's hood blacks, suburban blacks, country blacks, immigrant blacks from Africa that came from Europe too. So I'm saying there's no unified or black community. That's just a false propaganda promoted by former black slave owner descendants and celebrities, so they can so you can keep feeding them money and relying on them to be your leader, when your leader should be the Most High, and you should be making money to help yourself and help people that trying to help you in life, that are close to you and want the best for you. You shouldn't support someone because of the skin color of their because of the color of your skin. You should support someone that cares about you and that's actually been there for you. So that's my point I was trying to say. But yeah.
Community, right? I'm from Georgia, by the way. But there's there's not, black people are not trying to, I guess, become equal through finance and success. Everybody wants to do that through their own individual way of works. So individualism, and that's, I guess, why we supposedly have issues in the black community. And the reason I'm struggling to say this part is because black suburban people don't really have that issue. It's more, the black people that are in the projects and the hood. So I'm saying the black people in the projects and the hood, they're being oppressed by black, suburban and upper class people.
Gotcha.
Because that's what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
While being oppressed by white in a specific way, which is through brainwash of the school system. But I'm saying that the upper class black, the black elites, are also part of the oppression too. Because the truth is, those black are descendants of people that watched other blacks get enslaved by Native Americans.
Correct. Correct. Right. That is correct.
Other blacks be indentured to other black people. Like my great grandfather was a sharecropper on Alabama and was indentured to another black landowner.
Now, I'm not gonna confirm that the person that he was working for was black, but I'm pretty sure. He was. Alabama's mostly. I'm pretty sure that the person he was indentured to was black, but yeah, he was a sharecropper in Alabama. He wore the white, overalls and stuff like that. I got the pictures already posted on my YouTube post, but it's not. This conversation not about me. Just trying to say that's a confirmed thing. But I'm still looking to my ancestry too. I just know that I'm not. From what I have right now, I am not a descendant of a Native American freedman. From what I have right now.
So but
man, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. I appreciate that all, man. Appreciate the knowledge.
I appreciate.
And remember, he's being sarcastic. You're gonna see. But he got schooled with the white cargo and the free. Remember, y'all. This is the main thing I was trying to bring up. Free Negro owners of slaves in the United States, 1830. You can look up any last name, common last name that's in the black community, and find a black slave owner with it. And the white cargo books and white slavery books. Yeah.
Thank you for accepting my information is not. So there weren't in America ever. There wouldn't be no black Mecca of Atlanta. There was no black man owned by white men. Negro slaves, but no. So there were.
I hear it.
Yeah, but I'm serious, man. There was no. So there were black indentured servants, Negro slaves, but there were no black men owned by white men. That does not exist. That has never existed in America ever. There wouldn't be no black Mecca of Atlanta, Memphis. There's successful black.
Need a UGC video for your business? Find me
Remember,
and
play that
many
part.
other skilled creators on Fiverr. Or you could.
Successful black communities in Florida, New York. There would be no Negro Baseball League, HBCU, First African Baptist Church, Methodist Church. There would be none of that if if black Americans were slaves. All that would not exist if we were slaves. That's the truth.
Hey,
So yeah, I appreciate you for
appreciate you being bold
Yeah.
enough to speak the truth.
Yeah, he's being sarcastic and watch
Yes.
this.
Take care, stay safe.
You too, man.
No problem. I give up. We're shutting down the website. I mean, you guys win. You guys win. You guys win. Just 478.
So you see, doesn't agree, doesn't like it. I think that's what so. But yeah, I told the truth. But yeah, everybody kept saying I was wrong. I was high on cocaine and stuff like that. Just trying to ignore specific true facts.